Hello and welcome to Our Waking Dream. I am your host, Coco Swanson. I'm a spiritual strategist, mentor, and forever seeker. My life has been a full immersion in esoteric arts and wisdom traditions, in somatic release, in astrology. In this show, each week we go over a theme moving through the week astrologically, and then we go over some practical tools rooted in energy healing, awareness practices, rituals, somatic release, in order to help us all move with the flow, the current, versus trying to swim upstream. And right now, we have some pretty big currents. So it's extra important, I've found, to employ all my practices to gain the clarity and traction that I need right now. I'm curious how you're doing. How have you been specifically in these emotional waters? Because we've got a lot going on in the water sign, and water is all about the emotional and the more subtle realms that create a lot of momentum and flow and magnetism. So how are you? About 4 days ago now, Neptune stationed direct in Pisces. If you've been listening for a while here on Our Waking Dream, I've gone over Saturn and Neptune to the point where I was calling them Septune for a minute because they're doing something really important together and rare in the cosmos. What's going on out there is actually also going on in here, which can be a little bit hard to grasp at first. For me, I started to understand how relevant astrology was through observation, through just observing over time how all of the layers that point to the inner subconscious waters of what's going on are just spot on. I'm curious how they land for you. If you're here, I assume you're also a sensitive seeker. And the more sensitive we are, the more we feel the astrological movements. And usually it's those that are sensitive that are reaching out and studying astrology to begin with. So curious about you. This week, first, the mic's off. I don't have my mic just broke. And so I could have not filmed. And so I'm choosing to film without the mic. So I apologize if the audio isn't as good. This said, it's a week to go with the flow. We have Neptune. Neptune is the most spiritual. It's like, I think of Neptune as where we go and we dream and imagine what we'd want to experience down here on Earth. It's the most spiritual, it's a Piscean planet, and it's in Pisces. And it's been moving retrograde with Saturn since July, but both of those planets now have stationed direct. Yet when one of the outer planets stations direct or retrograde, it can take a few days of funky feelings before we can really feel the forward momentum. Funky feelings in relation to Neptune in Pisces would be confusion, delusion, all sorts of karmic patterns coming up, which we'll be talking about more. And it's like skeletons coming out of the closet for a final dance before they are released back to source. What skeletons showed up in your closets or out from your closet between July and now? And that's the material you've been working through this retrograde. And Saturn too, Saturn's in Pisces as well. So it's in Neptune's zodiac sign. So as Saturn's been backwards, which it's direct now, and it has been for a good week. And so when Saturn is retrograde, it really looks at how what structures need to change. And structures are like structures of thought or structures within business and relationship. It depends on where it falls within your chart. But when we're looking at Saturn and Pisces, it's the sign of formlessness, but the planet Saturn loves structure. So when we place a planet in a zodiac sign that's uh, at it's not at its strength. Saturn loves structure, whereas Pisces is all about releasing things back to formlessness. So Saturn's still in Pisces, but at least we're moving forward now. So there's a forward, what I'd say is flow, a flow of our soul and our spirituality, that's Neptune, and then the flow of structure. It's moving for us now. Yet it's kind of confusing to follow a flow structure unless you naturally are, you know, more flow based. But for me, at least, I crave a little bit more solidity when I'm leaning into structures, which we're not, I don't think, going to get until Valentine's Day, really. When Saturn and Neptune conjunct, when they come together at the 0 degrees of Aries, that's a full forward motion, yes, with those two planets. And that's not till Valentine's Day. So there's a flow forward motion in action now. Yeah, it won't be shifting over to that 1st degree of the zodiac, which is, it's a really pivotal spot on the wheel. The zodiac wheel is that place between the ending of the zodiac and the beginning. So it's like a fresh start for our soul and the structures in our lives come Valentine's Day. But right now we do have this forward momentum in the flow in flow. I bring up this flow and Neptune and Saturn because this week they're squaring the new moon in Sagittarius. So let's talk about Sagittarius because we've got a lot going on over there too. We have the sun and the moon conjunct. That's a new moon on the 19th. The new moon conjunct the sun squares Neptune. And at the same time, on the same day, Mercury is squaring Saturn. Let's look at Sagittarius because on the new moon in Sagittarius on the 19th, 20th, that moon and the sun is squaring Neptune. And at the same time, Venus in Sagittarius is squaring Saturn. So we have some friction in the sky. And then, of course, within us, because what happens in the sky is happening in us. And we've got some friction on that new moon. And friction can lead to transformation. When there's a square, if you think of it as a time of transforming change, that might take a little bit more uh, elbow grease, a little bit more work to nail. They're really transformative. Squares are fantastic, but we want to understand both Sagittarius and Pisces in order to know how to work that square. So Pisces is about release, is about dreaming, is about imagination. It's about vibe. It's about how we are being and the energy that we're within. Sagittarius is the great adventure. It has an arrow. It's the sign, the arrow. So it's we place our arrow in a direction and go forth for our passion. It's the great adventurer, here to learn, here to explore through learning. So it's a great philosopher. It studies religion, travel, adventure. So they're similar in the sense that they're both flow-based, mutable signs. And they're different in the sense that Pisces is about the dissolution. It's the release of form. So thought forms release, whereas Sagittarius is building ideas and building adventure and building like a shadow side of Sagittarius is being on a soapbox, being a know-it-all, because you'll have so much conviction about your heart's passion that you might end up kind of being bossy about it. So I always like to enter in through the shadow, through the underbelly of the sign, especially if it's coming to a place of friction. And with the square, again, that is the friction that creates the transformation. So what does that mean? First, I'd suggest it looking at how you have been with surrender. So, this is to talk about step number one. Through observation, we can take the pulse on how we're doing with the theme that's moving. So, observe, what have you let go of since July? At a soul's level, do you have a different soul's orientation? Like, how have you changed? What have you lost? What did you let go of? Are you still mourning that? Have you felt the feels that you need to? That's for me, looking at Pisces, I want to make sure that I'm emotionally held, that I have the space to really feel around things that I maybe lost that I wasn't ready to lose, or I didn't know I needed to lose at this juncture. And so that I'd suggest in your observation to really look at what it is you've let go of and how your arrow has changed through that process. How have your heart's desires, your soul's desire, and the structure in your life, how has their shifting and changing changed the arrow, the vector on your heart's passion, on your and what convictions do you carry? Like, where do you have a little bit, perhaps too much know it all? Or, yeah, conviction. Like, in what areas could you soften your conviction to become more porous to change? So, simply observing is always step number one. Another way of looking at this in observing Piscean, especially Neptune retrograde in Pisces, is what karmic patterns have been coming up, resurfacing for you to look at. And karmic patterns are repeating themes that trip you and suffering, cause suffering for you, cause suffering for your people. So, what patterns came up since July that you've experienced before it that you really are ready to let go of? Because that's what I suggest that you bring in to the second practice. The second practice I suggest is preparatory for this new moon. If you're watching this on the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, the 19th is the new moon. So we have this time, this spaciousness to clear out more of the closets, to honor what was and to let it go. And this I find as important as planting new seeds, because when we bring up to awareness that which we're trying to let go, it increases the strength of our ability to let go. So ultimately, you can enter into this new moon. The new moon, it's an adventurous time. Sagittarius new moon with Saturn and Neptune stationed direct. That's exciting. It's more of a go button than we've had lately. It's right around solstice. I mean, so really, it's kind of a juicy time. And so enter in through release this week. You can do these release practices in whatever way you want. I only suggest this one or two guidelines, which is to create quiet moments for yourself. We can let go and ritualize the process of letting go through breath, through sound, through writing, through movement. But we need the time that we're using. It's time and presence. That's, to me, what brings about ritual is a moment, this is how I define it at least, that I imbue with my intention and my breath. So before the new moon, find moments. For me, it will take place at my altar. And I'm traveling. I'm in a different place right now. And so I have a travel altar and I bring it. It's like the first thing I open when I get someplace, and it's the last thing I close on my way out, because it holds all of my concerns, all of my dreams. I bring my altar, which I primarily make by intending a space to be sacred. That intention rarefies the air. It allows for that to be a space where then I bring my breath, my intention, I move it into my stones, which I've talked about in previous episodes, through intention, through breath. And then I place it on my altar and let divinity change it. I say, I'm releasing this and I need help releasing. Because as a human, death has been, death, the release back to formlessness is been kind of challenging for us. So I ask for assistance in what's a very natural process biologically, which is release, surrender, letting go, and letting die. Do that as much as you can between now and the new moon, because the new moon is about planting seeds. So where is the flow taking you? Where is the flow of your life taking you? And where is the flow of your passion taking you? That's what we want to plant seeds for. And seeds, I'm doing a little dance for those of you on Apple Podcasts that can't see me. I'm doing a little dance because this is exciting. Saturn and Neptune direct. The next zodiac sign they're meeting in is Aries, the first burst of life together. The dreamer, the planet of dreaming, and the planet of structure. Dreaming new structure into being. Where's your passion? I would come up with 10 plus best case scenarios. The dreamy kind. I mean, Pisces kind, where if we were, think of how your nighttime dreams work. You know how they don't make sense. If we were to say, oh, I was in this little place and then all of a sudden I was in a different city in a car with other people. Like, dreams don't have to make logical sense. Let your dreams be fairy tale dreams catered to your specific heart desire. So, what is your heart's desire? This week is a perfect time to explore that. And in what areas, what areas in your life have been changing the most? And in what ways have your desires within those areas changed? Start to claim them. Sagittarius style. Do it with jazz hands. Have a party about it. That's what this new moon, I suggest, is more of a celebration. It's something where we plant seeds, either depending on where you're at, like it's getting close on winter in the northern hemisphere, and yet it's been kind of mild where I'm at. So I might plant a few literal seeds that go in autumn, or just plant metaphorical seeds. You can imagine best case scenarios, and then you poof, I give this to the universe. I give this to God, or whatever language you use for your divine connection. I plant this seed, or I bring this to my womb space. And that we all have that center, no matter what gender we are, this second chakra center where we plant seeds of possibilities of becoming. So plant seeds of possibility, and it's not attaching to one outcome. That's why I suggest many best case scenarios, and they don't even have to be related. You can just plant seeds of possibility of heart's desire and then say, I let go of the details. I'm unattached to the outcome. It's either this or something better. And then time to celebrate. Come on, right? I don't think those words were right. Time to celebrate. That's what's right. It's time to celebrate, to be in the flow, to plant seeds as we continue to let go of what's no longer in alignment with our soul's desire and the structures in our life. Okay, that's it for today. Please always review and like and subscribe, do all that so this podcast can have more wheels on it, more momentum. Reach out if you need. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah.
Thank you for being a part of our community here at Our Waking Dream. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Fill my cup and let it overflow. Let it overflow with love.